Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another update. And if you are watching this on release date, hopefully every single one of you had a great happy July 4th Independence Day weekend. And if you are watching this in the future, then the really great news is that today's video is probably still going to be very relevant for pretty much an indefinite period of time, because the really great news to maybe start is that, as some of you guys know, is that we recently talked about a $1,050 fourth stimulus check program. But the really great news to finally get out there is that the $1,050 fourth stimulus check program has now officially been approved. And the really great news is that this is a program that's probably going to apply to about 23 million people out there in our country. So that is a lot of people. It's not a very small program. It's definitely a relatively big program. Of course, inside of our country, we do also have some updates to maybe share, even if you've maybe already seen an update about this, or maybe you just know about this program. The really great news is that I also want to maybe end the second half of this update talking a little bit more about what stimulus programs, or what has been going on in the world of stimulus for the other 100 million something people that maybe this does not necessarily apply to. Of course, if maybe it happens to apply to someone you know, at the very least, maybe feel free to share it. But of course, all of this stuff is going to make a lot of sense. We're going to go through all of the details. But before we begin, as always, remember to smash the like button if you guys hopefully enjoy videos like this. And after all, we are talking about some relatively great news, of course. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell, or you can watch to the end and then decide, hopefully, if you guys enjoyed this. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about, honestly, really just anything. It really is always great to hear from you guys and familiar and new faces. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So to start, as just mentioned, we're going to start by talking about the $1,050 fourth stimulus check, which has now officially been approved, and a huge congrats to people living in the state of California. Now, we do have updates about a lot of the other states too, so, you know, huge love. We love all the states, you know, all that stuff. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. But the big update, really, just to run through this, and there's going to be timestamps if you'd like to skip around. Of course, whatever happens in each of these states can very much potentially happen in the other states, so I do still think it's insightful to maybe listen through. But the big idea really is that the way this fourth stimulus check program is going to work is that it's going to be applying to the state of California, as just mentioned, and specifically for single individuals making under $75,000 per year, or for married couples making under $150,000, or people filing jointly, essentially. And the idea is that it's going to send out a $350 stimulus check to every single individual. So if you're an individual, a single individual like me, and of course you live in California, you're going to be able to receive $350. If you are a couple, receiving $700, because that's 350 times 2. And if you happen to be in a family of 3, because they cap it after 1 child, you'll be able to receive that full amount of $1,050. And I believe is that it phases out after $125,000 for singles, or $250,000 for adults, to around $250. And then after after that, it would phase out again to have an income limit of $250,000 for single individuals, and then $500,000 for married couples, specifically sending out now about $200. So basically it's going to be $350 per person, probably every single person that lives in California that's watching this, because I know most of us are going through financial tightness, so obviously, you know, they're going to get the most amount of money. $350 for them. The next tier is going to be $250, and then $200. In reality, $200 is probably a very small amount for the people that are making over $250,000. So I don't know why they're doing it, but I guess it's to be inclusive. But that's kind of what the program is. So now, in order to maybe start talking about a little bit of the other states, Now, there are actually several states that are now actually doing, I believe specifically about 13 states or around that amount, that are currently doing some kind of fourth stimulus check program. The most recent one is going to be the one in Maine, New Jersey, and New Mexico. They currently have plans in order to do some kind of fourth stimulus check program, and the really great news is that as we're speaking, I believe in each of those 3 states, they're now starting, at least they claim that they're going to be starting to the procedure to send out their checks. Of course, we're probably going to talk about that in a little bit of the other updates, maybe potentially. I just want to kind of bring it out there if you just happen to be there. Now, what is the significance of everything that we just mentioned about why this is going to be relevant is really about the fact that the premise to why this recent stimulus check, so the $1,050 stimulus check, is the $1,050 stimulus check, or why it was created, is really in order to fight inflation. So why this is very important, and what this means for a lot of the other states is that because the CPI index report, so long story short, what this is that it's a report that shows the inflation rate that many channels, and that you may or may not have followed from the news, but is going to be releasing every single month. And the next CPI report is coming, as crazy as it is, very soon. If you're watching this on release date, specifically about a week from now, on July 13th, 2000. So I believe it's Wednesday, July 13th, 2022 at around 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So pretty much right in the morning. And the big idea is that when that report specifically comes out, or if you're watching this in the future, it's very possible maybe it has already come out. So that's the really great news. It probably means that maybe there will be another update. So definitely check that out. But the big idea is that depending on what the numbers appear inside of that report is going to have a very huge impact to what a lot of the states decide to do in the world of stimulus checks. And so many people foresight right now, and the big idea, and it's not just something that you foresight, but you can definitely live it out in real life already. So even beyond the news, I know, for example, feel free to share any stories about, paying for gas bills, paying for groceries. But I know, for example, for me, when I shop at my local grocery store, I'm in New York City, the big idea is that food has been skyrocketing. And I remember there was a period of time when I used to basically be able to regularly eat outside at restaurants. And today, I tell people is that eating at a restaurant is considered a luxury experience now. That's the wild thing. And on top of that is that we are starting to see grocery prices really skyrocket. But the report that is going to be coming out soon is going to show what is that actual percentage that it has gone up. Now, there is one really huge notice is that the formula that they use to calculate this inflation is a little bit off, or a little bit deflated. So in other words is that the actual rate is probably going to be a little bit higher, but it's just that they changed up the formula to what they used to calculate it, so it's going to be lower. But regardless of what it is that it's going to be looked at in perspective to what the other last couple of months have been. And if they really feel that there's a need, that is going to be likely what the trigger is to hopefully maybe allow a lot of other states to follow through. And we're already seeing it now, but we just have to actually see it physically approved, like what's happening in California. So a huge congrats there. And also a couple of the other states, but they have their own kind of separate programs as well. And the really great news is that actually, because our country is going through so many things right now, we are just using inflation because this is the most relevant or most recent thing. But the big idea is that even if we were not able to get more inflation checks, the big idea is that there are also a lot of states that are now doing very similar caliber programs as well. Again, the big goal is to just put money in people's pockets, and I think that's what most of us care about at the core at the end of the day. So what do I mean by this is that essentially is that even beyond inflation checks, there are a lot of other kinds of stimulus programs that they are currently working on. For example, obviously they're working on the inflation checks, but they also have the gas check programs. We talked a little bit about that. There is also about a program that is potentially going to resurface again, which is basically about the child tax credit. And the big idea, and actually also even beyond that, we also have another program interestingly related to tax rebates. I think this is the one that not as many people are talking about. So if you are here, huge welcome, because we're hopefully going to be able to talk about this now. But the big idea is that there are actually, interestingly, a lot of states that are contemplating right now on trying to do some kind of tax rebate program for different situations. So what does this mean is that, as some of you guys know, is that there's a lot of policies that are happening around the country right now, or proposals hoping to try to change the tax policy in order to tax a lot of the rich inside of our country. So as a part of that, one of the other things that they're trying to do is to create a tax rebate program to maybe be able to send money or to reduce the amount of taxes that people would pay at the very end of the year. And so in return, kind of create a stimulus check, whether this is to send money or to just take away less money for people that are employed. The idea is that it's a program that they're working on, and at the end of the day, the stimulus check is also a tax-related program, and so this is something that's going to be happening potentially now in a lot of other states. And it's already kind of happening, but it's just we just have to see what other states actually will fulfill this and actually do it. So for example, going back to the child tax credit, I believe in the state of Connecticut, and there's actually many states, but we're going to use Connecticut just because they were the most recent one. Connecticut actually, interestingly, also is now currently doing their own specific child tax credit. The only thing about this is that you do have to apply for it, and the application deadline, I believe, is the very, very end of this month. So specifically the end of July 2022. So there's definitely still time. That specific program is hoping to send out a $250 stimulus check to every single child within a particular family up to 3 kids. So if you have one child, so if you happen to be in a family and you have one child, you'll get $250. If you have 2 children, you'll get $500, and if you have 3 children, you'll get $750. And the last, I guess the maybe to close off, is that one of the really, really great news about the child tax credit is that of all of the kinds of social programs, it's actually the only, at least at this current time, it's the most mutual agreed upon stimulus check program, in the sense that it is the few programs where there is actually a population of Democrats and a population of Republicans that actually do support it. Because Mitt Romney actually also recently just introduced another bill, not too long ago actually, in order to try to expand and extend and bring back the child tax credit. So the really great news is that there are actually people on both parties that are able to do it. So hopefully the biggest idea is that the more compromise and unity they're able to have, the more probable we will be able to see these programs go through. So the big idea really to share is that there's definitely a lot of progress. There's, obviously things happening in California, as just mentioned, in Connecticut, and then in a lot of the other select states. But of course, for the other states, we just have to see what ends up happening. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys made it to the end, this is what I really just wanted to cover. Huge congrats to those people, 23 million people that this is going to apply to. If you guys made it to the end, maybe feel free to leave a comment. Remember to smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you guys hopefully enjoyed that. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.